Hey, what's up guys? This is the Super Saiyan Prodigy 1221 here, or you can go ahead and call me Andres, or my nickname is Andy. But I'm going to be talking about extra deck choices you can make this format. Some of the extra deck choices I talked about in my last discussion video was regards to last format, and I think with the meta changing and like different decks being tier 1 now, I feel like some extra deck cards have gotten better where before I said they were pretty bad. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about them right now. So starting off with Requiem Package. So this is an extra deck choice that got stronger on this format. Last format, Dinos and Dragon Ruler could easily get over one measly Omni Negate Dragoon. And I feel like it's definitely been power crept. We see now that like decks even like Drytron are running this, so that way they can establish some kind of board presence when they pass turn over to you. And it's even good against Sky Striker because they have a hard time trying to get over this thing since all their spell cards target and Dragoon can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So it's a really good monster, box monster for this format to be able to put up. Then we have the Requiem Package. I don't think it's that good, this format, honestly. I feel like it's decent, you know, it has its uses against Drytron to make them burn out all their hand negations. But I feel like in the Sky Striker matchup, it's going to be really bad because you put up like 2 extra deck spots and then a rank up magic in your card just to be hit by like a Widow Anchor or an Afterburner and get your Requiem negated or even hit with a Mystic Mine. I feel like it's not really worth it in my opinion, and if you do go this route, you definitely want to have Imperial Order in the main just so you can put up with like those cards like the Sky Striker cards that can easily out your Requiem or Mystic Mine in general. Then we have the Utopic Future Dragon package. I'm not a huge fan of this package actually, so I might get a lot of hate for this, but I feel like this isn't needed in the in Phantom Knights. I feel like you're taking up too many extra deck slots, like going double Levier, and like you don't even get like the materials that your Xyz monsters originally had. Like you have to use like a Levier and like another Levier, and you don't even get the materials that are on them before. You just get like you just end up with like 3 once you reach Utopic Draco Future. So, and I mean it's not even more than once per turn. It's only once per turn, whereas your Appaloosa can be used multiple times a turn. Granted that it keeps its attack points in multiples of 800, but yeah. So I just feel like it's not needed. I feel like this deck already puts up enough monster negations through Fog Blades and Appaloosa. Plus, going into Appaloosa isn't an easy read as it is with Utopic Future Dragon, because you just go into Utopic Future, they're just going to nib you on that summit. Like it's a huge read on your opponent to just nib you right there. I feel like you're better off having extra deck slots for breaking boards going second, because this is pretty much going to be dead, because how are you going to make this when you have to deal with a Drytron board, a Tri-Brigade board, etc. So I don't feel like this is really needed. Then we got the Arc Rebellion package. So I feel like this is decent. The only problem with this format is the Ad-Ignister matchup. So I get the premise for it, that it'll help you beat, at least it can help you beat over the towers, or I should say rather the Arrival Cybers, because it's unaffected by card effects. The biggest problem though is that the Ad-Ignister deck plays a lot of hand traps. And then so for you to make an Appaloosa, it's not going to be very likely possible. And also, even if you do at least make the Raiders Knight into Arc Rebellion, they have the Mari either in hand or in graveyard to go ahead and negate a face-up card you control, so they could negate the Arc Rebellion from gaining attack, or it can just negate the attack period, in which case just OTK you next turn through Access Code Talker. So for me, I feel like this has unfortunately been a little bit like power crept down, and I feel like a decent substitution would be Underworld Goddess, because it's not an easy read for your opponent to guess that you're going for this. Most good players will know, but for the ones that don't know about this card, you can definitely take advantage, as it's like it gets rid of your opponent's monster as a summoning condition, so it doesn't matter if the monster itself is unaffected by card effects. And it's also good in the Sky Striker matchup, because against Ray, if you try to break sword a Sky Striker Link monster, if you try to Nightmare Unicorn spin it back, or Ray can just special summon herself, and then a quick effect just link summon into a Sky Striker card, so that way you can't attack, or maybe they go into something else like a Kagari for recursion to get back their engage and whatnot. So I feel like the Arc Rebellion package could be pretty much substituted in for Underworld Goddess. It's still decent. You can still LTK like your Sky Striker opponent if you still put up enough monsters on board to gain enough attack for the LTK. I just feel like Underworld Goddess might be actually stronger right now. I've only been testing it for about 2 weeks so far, because I'm playing a Link XC toolboxy build right now, because I'm trying to like see how I feel about the guy who got second at DCS with it. I got top 16 in the Chalice Line monthly with it, where I went 6-1. That video of that deck list is on my YouTube channel as well, so go ahead and check that out. But I liked it. It didn't come up too much in the tournament, but it did come up in my playtesting with it against Strikers and the Ad Ignister matchup, so I really like it in that regards. Then we got Brick Sword. It's pretty much the best Xyz monster in the deck. Just keeps you from getting your Fan Knight monsters banished, and helps break boards on your opponent. Abyss Dweller. This is pretty strong if you can get it off. I've been considering playing it. It's just that it's hard to make, because you're locked into dark monsters after using Break Sword's effects. And also, the only real way of you bringing this out is through Shade Breeding and Stain Greaves. I don't know too much about the ISO package, so maybe it's easier to make it in that build, because I saw the guy who got top 16 at the remote YCS run this card, so I'm not really too sure on how often he was able to make it. But I feel like it's pretty powerful, especially against Drytrons, because they usually like to use their Drytron effects in the graveyard as well to special summon themselves. Prank Kids, Salads, it's really good and strong in general, this format. Then we got Gossip Shadow. I don't feel like this is really needed, because like you should just use the materials to go into an Appaloosa, which will have way more negates than Gossip Shadow. And Gossip Shadow also gives your opponent a card, so I feel like this isn't really needed in my opinion. So why give them another chance to draw into another hand traps for further interruption on your board? That's just kind of me though. And plus it doesn't even get rid of the card in your opponent's hand, so they can use it for fodder for something else. Levier is really good to recycle your Fan Knight names like Ancient Cloak and Gloves, because you don't really play 3 of those. And then it just, because the Gloves and Cloak can make you brick if you open up both of them in the same hand. So I feel like this is really good for recycling your Fan Knight names and then having good follow-up on your next turn. Then Rhapsody and Berserk. The guy who got second at DCS played this card. I haven't done much testing with it myself. I'm not really sure what you would banish. I don't know if he actually used this card in his in the tournament or not. I still have yet to like get into contact with him, but I feel like it's decent. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's bad. I just never used it, to be honest, so I don't really know what to say about it honestly, but it's there, I guess, as an option if you really want to banish something from your opponent's graveyard. I guess maybe an Engage or something else. I'm not too sure, but yeah, so going more about Xyz monsters, I'll talk about the Zeus package. So the Zeus package I feel is actually pretty good this format, especially since we're not dealing with a whole lot of back row decks. Like the only ones you really have to worry about is like the Shaddoll Invoke Dominica matchup, but even then that matchup isn't that heavily represented right now. And before last format, we dealt with like a lot more backrow decks through like Burning Abyss, Altergeist, the Zodiac Outwitch matchup, and we're just not seeing that much of that right now. So I feel like Zeus is a pretty decent line of play for this format. Um, the monsters you have available to go into it, I don't feel like they're really needed just because there's not a whole lot of like torrential tributes or like more like backrow interruption decks running around. So I feel like Nightmare Shark and Fortune Tune isn't really that needed. Um, I feel like just going Breaksword Poke is fine enough. Go into a downer so that way you have extra material for your Zeus, so you not only board wipe on your turn if you have to get rid of some annoying cards, but you also have a board wipe on your opponent's turn. Alongside with that, you can go ahead and set some Fog Blades down if you have them available to you, so make it even harder for them to establish some kind of board presence against you. So I feel like Zeus has actually been power creeped a little bit this format to become even stronger than it was before. Um, the Burning Dante of the Burning Abyss, I don't feel like it's needed in this deck. I feel like it could end up milling you your Dragoon bricks, which you really don't want. Your rank up magic, whatever. I don't feel like it's needed honestly, and its effect of being able to add back like the Seer to like normal summon it and it blows itself up so you can start summon out Sherbini. I feel like it's too slow. I rather have better extra deck utilization than having Dante in this deck. Then we got Evil Swarm Nightmare and Time Thief Reviewer. I feel like these are decent options if you either don't want to play Dragoon or Requiem, or maybe you end up drawing the Red Eyes Fusion in hand and you want some kind of insurance for it. I feel like Nightmare is the better of the two, just because it hits combo decks like Dragon Link. You can mess with Drytron a little bit. Just keep in mind that they can still tribute their monsters even though it's face down. It's decent against Salads as well, and I just feel like it's kind of the stronger of the two right now. Time Thief Redoer is decent, like in the Sky Striker matchup, where all they just do is normal summon and then link summon against you. So you can go ahead and try to snatch steal like a spell card they have in their deck. So since you can't book a moon, link monsters either. But I mean, it's still pretty decent. Gives you something to go into after you put your after you pop your own Breaksword. That's it for the Xyz monsters. So into the Link monsters. So Almirage, I tried this card at the beginning of this format. I quickly found out though that so I get it's a one card Dragoon, but you're gonna lose to like the same hand traps you're trying to go into this card with anyways, and even if you had something to like play around with. Like if you go normal summon Gloves, normal summon Ancient Cloak or a Boots, it gets to the graveyard, you banish it and try to add a Shade Brigade, like that's just gonna lose to an Ash. It takes up to like 6 summons to bring out Dragoon, so your Verte is gonna be your 5th summon, because you're gonna go Gloves, that's 1 summon, Almirage, that's 2, getting the Shade is a 3, then Link Spider is 4, and then Verte is finally your 5th summon. So it's pretty bad, honestly, in that aspect. I just feel like I'd rather just brick and pass, find out what my opponent's playing, than my opponent knowing what I'm playing. They hand trap the hell out of me, and then now going into game 2, they already know what's aside against me. So I'd rather just keep that a secret than to overall give the impression that my hand is shitty in the first place. And we got Nightmare on Link monsters. I feel like Cerberus isn't that good, just because like especially in the Sky Striker matchup where the only Sky Strikers put up like the only monsters they put up are in like the extra monster zones. I feel like if you're trying to destroy a monster that's in the main monster zone, that it's already going to be some kind of Omni Negate like a Burrowload Savage Dragon or something like that, and I feel like it's just a little bit too slow in my opinion. I feel like Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn are better utilization in that aspect, because Phoenix, you can go preemptively into it before you go into your Rusty Bardish to clear up any of your opponent's back row. Like if you're in the Invoked Madoka Shadol matchup, just trying to get out like a super poly they might have sitting around. and then go ahead and go into your Rusty Bardish after that, and then it also puts more attribute fodder for your access code talker plays later on. Link Spider is decent because it helps make your Verte Anaconda live by either linking away the Nibiru token or linking off your own Shade Brigade. So that way you can keep on playing past Nibiru. IP Masquerada is decent. I just don't really like it this format because, I mean, what's it gonna do against Drytron? Like, you Nightmare Unicorn away like a Beatrice, they will just chain Beatrice. You can Nightmare Unicorn away like a Drytron monster, but I mean, they probably still have more Drytron monsters to go through with. You can try to Nightmare Unicorn and move Beta Fafnir, but its effect is on summon, so they're still going to get some kind of advantage after that. Like, I just don't see it being too high impact right now. And I feel like even if you decide to like try to use this off with Underworld Goddess, like I feel like it's a little bit too situational in my opinion. And I feel like I'd rather go into something a little bit that'll have more I guess what's the right word for this? I guess more like roadblocks, I should say, for my opponent to like try to break. More interruptions, actually. I feel like going Evil Swarm or Time Thief Redoer puts up a little bit more interruptions. Like I'm able to like grab a trap card and like bounce back a face-up card they control that doesn't even target, or the Nightmare puts up a little bit more interruptions by Book of Mooning 2 of their monsters. I get the premise for it though. I just don't see like any really big monsters you would need to get rid of, or like any troublesome monsters that Underworld Goddess really needs to get rid of during your opponent's turn. Let's see here. I think I talked about this. Oh yeah, Cherubini. So Cherubini is good because you can set a card before you use its effect to have protection against Gamma or Herald of Orange Light. I definitely feel like it's really important to get off, have a card available on the field before you use Cherubini effect, just because Herald of the Orange Light is now a thing, whereas before the really big worry was Gamma before. And I feel like it's really good to help you unbrick the BA monsters as well, so you just dump a Phantom Knight's name. But yeah, it's really good. Honestly, I wouldn't cut it. I've tried out 2 actually, because the guy who got second at DCS played 2, and I feel like it didn't really come up that much. I tried to bring it out in the Chalice Line monthly tournament because my graph got ashed, and then when the turn came back to me, I made a second Cherubini and then dumped a Seer and tried to bring back the Cherubini that was in my graveyard, but it got ghost spelled, so I don't know about playing 2 Cherubinis, honestly. Then we got Rusty Bardish. It's a boss monster of the deck. It's a +2, and I mean, gives you disruption on your opponent's turn, so not much to change. Not much to say about that, actually. Then we got Appaloosa. This is pretty much going to be one of your biggest boss monsters for this deck. It's really good against Drytron, making them burn through so many monster negates. Praying Kids as well, if they're not able to chain block. Drytron, Tri-Brigade. Only annoying thing now is that a lot more decks are playing Triple Tactics Talent, so they might be able to snatch steal your Appaloosa, so just be wary about that, and like try to hold off your Dragoon Negate until they try to like maybe Tactics or Mystic Mine you. Underworld Goddess, it's a good substitution for Ark Rebellion Dragon. Not an easy of a read as it is. Not easy of a read as Ark Rebellion Dragon is, since Raider's Knight is like the precursor to Ark Rebellion. And yeah, so I think I've talked about access to it. So if you don't want to play Ark Rebellion or you don't want to play Underworld Goddess, I feel like you gotta play Access Code Talker because it's your alternative way of OTKing through this deck. You're more than likely going to be playing a bunch of different Link monsters with different attributes already, so why not take advantage of that and get a big beat stick that can pop cards on during your turn to go for the OTK? Because if you're able to get Cloak's effect off and boost the Rusty to 2900, and then use Unicorn to link into the Access Code Talker. It'll be at 5300 once you get its effect off, and then it'll be 53 plus 29, which is 8200 attack points, so you'd be able to OTK your opponent that turn for game. But yeah, so that wraps up the extra deck discussion. Overall, I feel like Imperial Order is really good if you're deciding not to go with Dragoon, since you don't have that spell and trap negation in your Requiem or Exceed linked toolboxy builds. Pot of Prosperity is also a good card to consider if you're running those types of builds. I feel like with Dragoon, you're going to be really limited on what you can banish, because you're already taking up a lot of cards in your main deck with the bricks, and then you're taking up 2 extra deck spots to bring this out. So I feel like you might want to consider Prosperity and like Requiem or like toolboxy builds that you might be running in order to further dig out your main Imperial Order, so you have some protection against Sky Striker. But yeah, so that wraps up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It just goes to show that extra deck choices can change depending on the meta. I definitely feel like with the current meta, my opinions have changed about certain extra deck cards and how I see the viability of them more. Like, I wouldn't think that like a deck without Dragoon or Requiem could even be successful this format, but then I see this guy at the same DCS tournament I competed in get second, and I guess it just goes to show that just Xyz linked toolboxy builds aren't really that bad against the current meta. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna go ahead and grind some more Dueling Book and then do some of my summer homework. So see you guys.